50 minutes to have questions for all of the panelists. And then when we're done, we will open up to question and answer from the audience, where you can ask them yourselves anything that you might have noticed that they may have commented, what perhaps their favorite social media platform is, and so forth. So we're going to start with Blakelyn.
Hi. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy you guys are all here joining us tonight.
So Blakelyn, tell us who you are and where you are from, and a little bit of background about yourself.
Sure, cool. I'm from Georgia, Athens, Georgia. Whoop, whoop. Go Dogs. My background, I grew up hard of hearing since 3 years old. I got sick at age 3 and my hearing declined. And then I started with hearing aids at 4 years old. And I started doing speech therapy and whatnot, and was completely mainstreamed in school. And my parents did not teach me any sign language at all. So I started learning sign language at about 19 years old. And so that's it.
Well, thank you, Blakelyn. So Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Justin, and I'm from Ohio. I was born hearing until I was 2 years old, and my hearing declined drastically. And my mother was hearing, and my father was deaf. So we did not have a cochlear implant until I was 6 years old. And I grew up going to speech therapy and speaking and using my visual and signing. So I incorporated all of that. I went to film school and learned about film studies. And I got married to my wife for 4 years now. We've been married. And go Ohio State. Woot, woot. Blakelyn says, yay.
That sometimes I have to pick on him because they're 41-0, you know. Clemson, they had that game with them a few years ago, so I've got to pick on you. Anyway, let's now talk with Taylor. Who are you, Taylor?
Hi, everyone. Hi. I'm happy to be here. I'm really involved in this group. Clemson University is great. My name is Taylor, and I'm 16. I'm a full-time high school student, and my background is I grew up with a deaf family. My parents are both deaf, and both very successful people, professors, and my father owns his own company. And I have 5 brothers and sisters, hearing, 2 hard of hearing, and I'm deaf. And I became deaf, really it started when I was 3 years old. I didn't really notice it until 3rd grade. I finally started noticing that I needed hearing aids, and I moved to Florida. And had my hearing aids and changed them off and on, had interpreters and worked with that. And then until I moved here, and was mainstreamed also. But I decided to transfer to a deaf studies program, to the deaf school. And so now I'm going to that school here.
Okay, thank you, Taylor. So Erin from Chicago, Illinois. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to be a part of this. My name is Erin, and this is my sign name. I was born hard of hearing, and my family are hearing, and I'm the only one who is deaf. I grew up oral. I didn't use any sign language, and I guess I really started learning ASL about age 16, and I've been a new signer. So I'm a college student at Northern
Northeastern
Northeastern, and
in Boston.
I'm majoring in ASL and psychology. So that's me. Good university, Northeastern. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I love it. And I love it too. I agree with you. I've gone to your rival school, Boston University. So I know. Yes. And now we'll talk with Andre. Who are you, Andre?
Hi, I'm happy to be here on the panel. My name is Andre, and I'm from Boston, and I'm the only hard of hearing in my family. I had hearing loss at age 3 as well, and I started about 4 years old with hearing aids, and I started signing also about that same time. Um, I was in, I'm majoring in graduate school now for social work. I'm studying. And also, I've been doing that for 5 years. And I guess that's all.
Thank you. Now, Amanda from New Jersey. Tell us a little bit about who you are. Well, my name is Amanda. Well, anyway, and I'm from New Jersey, and I moved to Florida 5 years ago, and
It's hot.
it's hot, and I graduated
Online.
With online education, and I've been working on my master's in education, and now I'm on hold because I'm trying to learn e-learning and different things like that, and to focus on that. I've been married for 3 years, and I have a child, and I think that's about it. Oh, that's sweet. Congratulations. And now, the second question I have for the panelist might be a hard question, but we'll see. So, as an influencer, what does that mean to you, being an influencer? And I'll start with Justin.
Oh, me? Okay. As an influencer, that means for me is to help people who are deaf and hearing people to be able to help people, become more knowledgeable about one another, to educate each other, and just really give everything they need to know about the world. As a social media influencer, it does affect all around the world.
So, Taylor, what does being an influencer mean to you? Especially as a high school student, what does that mean to you?
Yes. Oh, wow. So as an influencer today, I'm involved in geography.
Generation Z.
Sorry, Gen Z. I've been working on all that, and they're like, "Oh, wow, 300,000 followers or whatever." I'm like, "No, don't tell everyone. Don't tell everyone." It was really unexpected, but I do enjoy it because it's influencer. That's a big label to have because a lot of people then look up to you and, want to be like you and have expectations. So I think that has really influenced me to become a better person. And I enjoy educating people as well and informing them about the deaf community, about my thoughts, about just different political issues, just everything of what's going on in the world right now. So, becoming an influencer and influencing people is really a big, huge responsibility. And I believe that, it's a challenge. And I believe that, I've been giving that on my platform. I'm raising to that challenge.
And now, Erin, what are your thoughts about that? I agree with her. Yes. To be honest, I don't really label myself as an influencer and hadn't until recently. For some time, I used the word advocate, where I would feel like I would fight for accessibility, for my rights. I didn't really join TikTok until only 4 months ago. So now I'm becoming, I guess, an influencer. And I agree with Taylor as what she said, that it's a big responsibility. And I just want to be able to influence everyone to help them to improve accessibility and all that. That's what my goal is. Okay, so Andre, what are your thoughts about that?
Being an influencer, to be honest, I just started on TikTok this summer, and it was really unexpected to have so many views and followers. Woo, really unexpected. And it's really cool, it's really cool. But at the same time, you know, it puts yourself on the spot. It's good for people to have somebody to look up to, and as a representative, as an influencer, to new things, just showing people that, you can start to do things. Just, like I say from New Jersey, talking about different things, doctors, educators, you can do so many things, to influence different perspectives. It's really cool.
Yes, I agree. There are so many different things to talk about. Amanda, what about you? Well, um, I downloaded TikTok, I guess only 5 or 6 months ago, and then COVID started and I didn't really know about what it was. So I went ahead and downloaded it and I started it, and, with voiceovers and doing signing. And then someone mentioned that I need to start kind of educating people about signing. And I like to be a kind of a funny person. And I like to be able to be expressive so that people will know that, that they can feel good. So that's it. So, Blakelyn, what about you?
Well, for me, I downloaded TikTok, I guess in February, I think, when COVID kind of started. So I noticed I just started watching it. I would just scroll and scroll, and I wasn't really doing, ABC finger spelling or anything like that. But then I posted stuff, and there was a lot of hits on it, and then all this stuff was there, and I was like really surprised. So I started posting a lot more. And then I got followers that just skyrocketed, and I was like, wow, cool. That made me feel good. So, and then I started Instagram for my TikTok, and it just started skyrocketing. So many people that are deaf and hard of hearing, um, they would DM me and say, you've helped me with my hearing aids or my cochlear, and accept people to feeling, comfortable with having hearing aids and cochlears and being out in the world. And wow, that made me just feel really, really great, so inspirational, because when I was growing up, I really didn't like my hearing aids. I kind of tried to hide them, I grew my hair long and, kept them covered. I didn't want people to know. But now, I fully have embraced that, and I really truly love myself the way I am. So I do some TikToks about that, about positivity, and I think that that's what it means to me, is really being an influencer, is to help others, and, help hearing people understand, what our world is like as deaf and hard of hearing individuals, and it's just amazing. It's really great to have this whole deaf panel, just all these people are really off the chart amazing. So that's what it means to me, being an influencer.
Thank you, Blakelyn. So before we move on to the next question, I noticed that people are very eager to chat with all of you. And if you don't mind, let's hold off on the chats. We want to be able to focus on the panelists' answers. And we will give you an opportunity to be able to ask your questions at the Q&A portion of this time. But let's focus just on the panelists' answers. And then during the Q&A, you'll have that chance to ask your questions, and they'll be able to answer your questions then. So if you don't mind holding off on making any chat comments for now, we'd really appreciate that. Okay, thank you. So the next question is, how is ASL an influencer? What does that look like to all of you? And ASL itself, you as a person, how is ASL to you? And the first person I'll ask is Taylor.
Okay. ASL, wow, it's really a huge part of my life. Both of my parents are deaf, so that's our main form of communication, and we've been able to incorporate that into our lives. My parents know that it's okay. We know that we're not the same as everyone, and we know that English is not our first language. ASL is our first language, and so the big thing is ASL. Really, it helps me to be able to express myself. In sign language, it's a much different way than in English. In sign, I can be visual, I can be receptive, I can sign slow or fast, whatever I feel, I have embraced that. It's really a part of my heart and soul. And it is my first language, my native language. So I can sign and I can speak fluently, but so then I'm able to pick whichever prefer, but I will always choose sign language over English.
Sure. Erin, what about you? ASL is not my first language, but it is my preferred language. I really love it. I didn't grow up signing, so I wasn't involved in the deaf community. I didn't really know anything about them. And I think when I was younger, I felt ashamed about my hearing aids. And I knew I was different and I didn't like that. But now I find that with the deaf community, it's like, wow, I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of my identity. It's just like Blakelyn said. So for me, ASL is how I can express myself. And also, I just love using music and performance signing to be able to translate songs into ASL, to be able to show that the song can be expressed in another language. It's just beautiful. So that's what ASL means for me. Andre?
I agree with what everyone has said. ASL is just the most beautiful language. We're very proud to be hard of hearing and embrace the language. ASL is so expressive. It's, you can have expressive on your face, you can just show your true self, and it's just amazing. Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Amanda, I agree with everyone. It's a way to express yourself, to use your facial expressions, and really to show how you feel. And it's feeling, because when you're conversing with someone, even when they're far away, or to be able to express that, it's just that vibe. That's how it is to me. Blakelyn?
Hi, yes. ASL, what that means to me is I can express my true self. I love music, so I'm able to really transform music into beautiful sign language. But for me, I didn't grow up signing. So it's not my first language. So when I met my first actual deaf person, I knew like very basic signs like hello, my name is Blak, la la la. And the deaf people were like shocked, like, you sign? I said, well, sort of, not really, but I'm hard of hearing. But a girl named Morgan, who was my first deaf person that I ever met. And we've known now, I really have been immersed in the deaf community since then. So American Sign Language really has just helped me be myself. Everything that I had struggled with all these years, it finally made sense when I melded with the deaf community. I was like, oh, but I did struggle with that a little bit at first, but then I was kind of, found that I was lonely no more. I had found my niche. So ASL for me, now I get to meet so many different people now, especially on TikTok and, at church and just different events, going to the mall even and just seeing someone sign there. And I'm like, oh, are you deaf? And they say, oh, are you deaf? And we say, yeah, and have a great conversation and just really getting to know new people. And that's what I want for, my goals for continuing on. And I love this kind of culture. I wish, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
You're absolutely right. So, Justin.
As an ASL has influenced me because if I am not able to communicate with someone like in the hearing way, quote unquote, because if I know sign language, then I have a way to communicate. And my father was deaf, so I've been signing with my father in my life. And then that was, practice signing with my mom, but at the same time using my voice. So it's also really influenced me and about many negative people who have insulted me for having the cochlear implant. That was really difficult for me to be involved in the deaf community because some of my own generation were not great, So, I always have to kind of, walk on eggshells and try to hide my cochlear and kind of, want to feel safe because I've had some bad experiences in the past. But then when my father passed away, when I was 15 years old, I was just trying to figure out like, who am I going to sign with, And I knew that ASL was important, but I kind of decided to just put it aside and use my voice to be involved with the hearing world growing up since I didn't have my father. And then about 2 or 3 years ago, I thought in my heart, I started to feel that I really wanted to learn ASL again because I wanted to be involved in both worlds again. And so, yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Great comments. Social media and ASL are now kind of coming together in a unique way. It seems like, it looks like today more so than ever with social media and ASL, how it's really grown. And Erin, what do you think about that? Social media has been really marvelous because everything gets out there quickly. With ASL, it's coming, more and more people are learning it. They're finding it on social media. They're wanting to learn it. They're wanting to become involved in the deaf community. And I think it's just wonderful how social media, yes, has helped to advance that. But at the same time, it's been kind of hard in that, that deaf people themselves they teach ASL, but you've got hearing people who just recently learned ASL, and it's not their responsibility and it's not their language or their culture to be passing it on. It's deaf people. It's our language. It's our thing. So I think it's hard because social media often, hearing people think, well, they can take advantage and use ASL through social media, and hearing people who don't know ASL, I think it's harder because they're kind of stealing the platform from deaf people and their creativity. And it's important to find that balance, I think. So social media is both a wonderful thing and it can also be a bad thing for ASL. That's true. Andre, can you expand on that?
I agree with that. That is on point. That is it. To be honest with you, social media and ASL, blending and melding is really great. We want people to learn ASL. It's touching a lot of people on TikTok. They're seeing it a lot more. It's really great. But at the same time, what I've noticed is most people are kind of shifting to hearing people that think they know everything about ASL, and that's not fair. It needs to be focused back to the deaf culture and the deaf community that does know everything. And, they're like saying, oh, here, look at me, I know sign language, and they're hearing people, that's kind of uncool. People need to be looking at the deaf community for asking questions and inquiring about culture and language and, really digging into the deaf community and the deaf culture and the deaf, ways. So I feel like most hearing people, it's in their families, the brothers and sisters, they're, learning it if they have deaf families, but I feel like they really should give credit and focus back to the deaf community.
Mm-hmm. Amanda, I agree. I agree with all that. But to be honest, ASL with social media, yes, it's fascinating. People are fascinated by it, but do they really understand it? Some of the bad part is that some people have they use different signs depending upon the regions of where they are, and say, oh no, that's not the sign, that's the sign that we use, but actually the sign is fine. And sometimes people don't really accept that there are different signs used in different places. So that's a disadvantage. And the advantage is that people can, at least is seeing signing more and more, and they find it interesting, and they're learning, and they're trying to learn from deaf people. They should, instead of from hearing people, said, like Erin said. So Blakelyn?
Yes, I totally agree with Andre. Yeah, I sign in Georgia, but it's not the same as in the North. We have different signs, and deaf people come, if they say, oh, that's wrong or whatever, I say, no, come on, please. In Florida, they sign trash like this, and I'm like, that's weird. I don't sign that way. I sign trash like this, like a bag, trash bag. So, but I would not say, oh, you have the wrong sign. Just accept, say, hey, cool, there's a different sign, and then we learn from each other. And like strawberry, the sign for strawberry, I've seen a myriad of different signs for strawberry, like that red fox, what red, that's the sign for strawberry. So, you know, I thought it was cool, but I don't try to criticize or correct them in any way. But people, what was the question again? Different.
Different regional signs like strawberry and so forth you were talking about.
Yeah, some of the nuances of ASL with Zoom. Um, oh, I'm sorry, with social media. I'm sorry, with social media. Thank you. And ASL. ASL is very cool, incorporated in social media. Also, though, I've noticed a lot of hearing people are starting to sign and they're videoing themselves signing. And, that's great for them. But, it's really important to be aware of the language and, not try to benefit of other people trying to learn it. So, for example, if for like falling in love, some people sign falling in love, but that's more of an idiom like this, falling in love, falling for somebody, getting drowned into it like but some hearing people don't understand when you sign certain things certain ways. So that's kind of a little negative about social media. But I really love it when the deaf people can educate them and really teach them. For example, my alarm, I have my deaf alarm clock, and I've taught people about that. And a lot of people are just puzzled. They're like, whoa, really? Wow, that's really cool. So, that's one thing I love about social media, being able to educate and maybe assist people if they have deaf parents of kids, or parents have deaf children, so they, encourage them to learn sign language first of all, and then, utilize the equipment, the vibrating, the alarm clocks and whatnot that we have.
Thank you. Justin, can you expand on that?
I agree with everything everyone has said, totally. It's really a learning experience, a tremendous learning experience that we've never seen. Now more and more than before, we are seeing it now. It's really a good experience because, people from different states have different signs, different styles. And so it's, being able to learn from so many diversities on social media. It's very interesting to see, like, should hearing people teach deaf people, or should deaf people teach hearing people? There's so many struggles. And so we want to really just encourage people to, it's really good to educate more hearing people online rather than in the past. The internet has changed everything. It's much more easy for us to experience more diversity.
Yes. Taylor, what do you think?
Well, again, I agree with everyone, all the comments. One thing that I would like to think is, it's really weird being on this panel because, I feel like this is a lot of responsibility, but I feel like with my generation, really they're focused, obsessing with technology. Of course, everything is technology, this and that. And it is a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing as well. As far as being an ASL and merging in with social media, we're all so close, but yet we're all far apart. We're all from different states. But so social media and ASL is really connecting us all, and I think that that's super cool. And also about educating people, that is a huge concern that I have. And I want to continue educating people on social media. In the past, as I was growing up, they would say they didn't know anyone that signed, or, they would look at that and say, oh, that's a weird sign or something. But now, it seems more normal. It's becoming the new normal. It's accepted to be, a lot of different people signing around in the world. We go to the restaurant and you sit down and say, hey, and I would sign and say what you want to drink, or they would suggest and say, oh, I know sign language. I learned sign language from TikTok. And that just touches my heart. And I say, oh, wow, that's really an inspiration that, I'm able to educate people through social media. And, it's good influencing others. And I feel, the hearing people also, that they're kind of accepting our language now, that, it's really that they're learning about it and it's becoming more part of the community, and it's really great to be able to educate people out there in the world and see everyone that, give them some basic knowledge, because there's so many deaf and hard of hearing people on the platform.
Yes, it's a big responsibility that all of you have, a huge responsibility. I agree. I'm curious. The deaf community cherishes their unity and their being able to socialize, go to the deaf club. They're very much, the deaf community is hooked with being face to face. Do you think social media has been a positive influence to the deaf community and also a negative influence for the deaf community? What's your opinion related to the deaf community and social media? And we'll start this question with Andre.
Well, can you elaborate a little more, please?
Well, the deaf community historically has really cherished their ability to go out and socialize with each other, whether they went to the deaf club or they went to Starbucks. They were always getting together. It was a part of deaf culture to meet up face to face and have these conversations. But with COVID aside, prior to COVID, that's a big part of our deaf community. It's what we cherish. But now with social media being an added part, prior to COVID, did social media change once Facebook came on and Instagram came on and Twitter came on and now we've got TikTok came on the scene? Does that mean that are there positives and negatives about social media impacting the deaf community? Can you expand on that?
Yeah. I mean, since we've had social media, we know people have socialized. It's a different kind of events before, there were sporting events and, social events and theater, drama, movie types events, different kind of things. Um, it's hard, I guess. I'm gonna have to think on that one, maybe.
That's fine.
Yeah, maybe come back to me.
No problem. Sure. Amanda, what do you think? I think he's funny. Okay. Why? Okay. I was thinking something and it's gone. Here, let me give it to you. Social media with the deaf community. Okay. All right. It came back to me. Meeting a lot of people on TikTok and meeting people on Zoom like this, and deaf, like seeing deaf from all over, from California or wherever. It's interesting that we can communicate with them, we can learn signs from them, and gather their news, but
A con.
like we said before, it's the acceptance of regional signs on social media. For example, like Blakelyn had said that if I sign strawberry my particular way and other people kind of react to that. So it can be a positive. A lot of people might experience that. Okay. Let's ask Blakelyn.
Yeah, I notice a pattern. So it's not a benefit for social media with the comments, with deaf people need to accept when the hearing person comments on our video, I'm kind of like, are you talking? What, are you deaf? Like, what, they say like, how do you talk or whatever? And they say like, can you drive? And, are you fake deaf? Like some really odd questions, some comments. Taylor says that's crazy. And Blakelyn says, yeah, they're really rude. And so, people sometimes ask me, like when I'm driving, how do you understand like the signs on the road? And I'm like, really? I can see, I have eyes, and I'm not stupid. Like, come on. And, that is a disadvantage. But a benefit would be networking and meeting so many different deaf people. I really love all the people here, and I watch the videos. Amanda makes me laugh all the time, cracking me up, and Justin too. Yeah, and everyone's agreeing. I love the really unique videos. Andre's, some of them amazing. I really just love everyone's videos.
Okay, I think that social media does have positives. I agree it has positives, but for the deaf community, do they feel like social media has stolen the cohesiveness where they are no longer meeting with each other and they've migrated to social media? It's great to have social media, it's positive, but at the same time, like the deaf community feels like the community itself is dissolving away. And we have to balance that out. So that's kind of what I'm asking too, is the negative aspects of social media. So I'd like to ask, Blakelyn, would you like to add something about that?
Yes, yes. I don't think, well, wait a second. I think that actually, because of COVID right now, that's
Obviously,
the
but
situation.
prior to COVID.
Right. Before, I was always, hanging out with my deaf friends. So, going to deaf events, and, we would all go together to eat food and, hang out and, go out and do stuff together. So for me, I feel like the deaf community is not dissolving, it's not diminishing, but I think at the same time it depends on your own area where you live. Because all of my deaf friends are close to my same age. So
Okay. Okay. All right. Justin?
um, I would like to think that social media is really a good thing for the deaf community, because I feel that social media has more accessibility, more available to educate, more opportunity for experiences, to look at the real you. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it helps us to be aware, that we can feel important, that we can feel valued. People are more recognizing us and noticing that we're around, and people ask questions like, "Can you tell me where or how to start learning ASL?" Or all these kinds of questions like that. So, I tell them, go to these different websites, these different resources, and, I'm not the only person I can help you, but there's so many good deaf people around in the social community, in the social media world, that can help each other. And like, for example, like Blakelyn said, people asking, why are you speaking? Or, why do you sign different? Can you drive? You know, those questions, it makes me feel like if the educational system has been broken, people aren't
Yes.
aware of these things. And I feel that all schools in America should be teaching people about deaf culture. Any possibility, any problems with, health, with anybody, nobody's really learning from regular school until they actually meet a person in real life and like, oh no, this is awkward. How do I communicate with this person? So people have no common sense, they have no idea how to communicate. And so I feel that social media has brought in much more exposure, accessibility, awareness, and experiences. The internet has just tremendously improved our situation. And I don't think that social media is, I don't believing that it's destroying our community or our culture. I believe that social media is a hugely recognized all around the world and noticing us a lot more now.
That's good. That's a good answer. How about Taylor?
Yeah, so I agree very much with everyone what you've said. One thing that I really am influenced by is feeling like, um, Idaho has nowhere to start. So the deaf community is really zilch around here in my town. There's just one or two deaf, and like we know each other. I don't know them. I knew about all them. We have different paths, but there's so many people that I haven't been able to contact. So social media has brought us out of our comfort zone, being able to navigate and meet people, like now all of us being on here from different states. That's so cool, that we're all involved with the same community. This is a community for us, and our culture can connect us through social media. And I agree, having a face-to-face experience is great, but at the same time, I see this still bringing us together and being uniting us and collaborating. So we are a deaf community within ourselves. There's not really that many deaf in the world, and I mean it's obviously less hearing people just go out, they meet each other at the store and whatever, have all those interactions. And as deaf people, we have that isolation. So it's really brought us a lot of ways to have more interactions and more discussions and have you know the camaraderie and the collaboration within the deaf community through social media.
Sure. Erin? I agree with everyone. I think that it's hard for me to really answer because I grew up with technology. At 19, I didn't really know the deaf community prior to technology. So it was hard for me to really answer about how technology has helped or hurt the deaf community. But I know that many deaf people often feel isolated because often hearing people, they don't really understand our language. They don't understand what we experience, and who can deaf people talk with, like hearing people can. But with social media, it really helps to connect us together. And I, like all the people have said the same thing. So yes, I agree. Okay, so the last panelist question I will ask, and then we will have the Clemson ASL Club officer briefly talk about our ASL Club there at the campus. And then after that, we will open it up to the Q&As. And I'm curious to find out from the audience what questions you would want to ask. And what we can close with. We've really enjoyed this webinar and this time with all of you. So the last question I want to ask, suppose that the audience is watching all of us and they're kind of getting a burning desire where they want to become an influencer themselves. Can you give them some advice on how to do that and what that would look like? Let's start with Andre.
How to start becoming an influencer. Wow. To be honest, it's really about being yourself. Be who you are. Because I think I just started TikTok in the summer, and I didn't really expect to have a lot of views at first, but it was really cool. I didn't let that number change who I am. I'm still the same person every day. I try to be humble, and just say, I'm chill. I'm just, oh, people are like, oh, you're famous, you're famous. I'm like, well, it's cool. But at the same time, I'm still the same person every day. So, I just say influencers, be yourself. Just, influence people to be themselves, and, talk about your own culture, your own time growing up, your own, if you're hard of hearing or whatever your experiences are, and share those.
And we're not in order, but any of you other panelists, if you want to say something, or shall I pick someone? How about Justin?
Well, I really didn't expect to be an influencer. It just kind of happened all of a sudden. I didn't start until after COVID came around. So I just had some free time, and, was thinking, what should I do? And my family and my friends, were kept asking me saying, you should try to do something, do something. And I was thinking, so I went on TikTok and was just looking it over for a while. And I thought, okay, that's cool, So I started, and then unexpectedly, I got a lot of good positive feedback, and some negative as well, of course. But it really made me feel more motivated and really hungry to, I had a lot of funny experiences growing up in the deaf and hard and hearing world, melding those together. So like Dre said, be yourself, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be, you can make mistakes, and I would say just, it was all unexpected for me. And, at one time I went to the store and I heard someone say, hey, 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 I know you. And I was like looking around like, who is that? Who are you? And they said, you're on the phone on TikTok. I saw you. I saw you. And I was like, oh yeah, that is me. So I was like, wow, people are starting to recognize me in my hometown. So, you have to be brave. You have to be passionate about it. And you absolutely have to be prepared for, people that are going to be the haters. You got to be ready. And, they're going to talk bad stuff about you, but you have to, you know, you always will have negative comments no matter what. You can't satisfy everybody no matter what you do, because, some people don't want you to succeed, and some people don't want you to keep going, and they don't want you to help other people. So really, you just have to, I try my best to just ignore them, thicken my skin and focus on my positive people who are supporting me. And that's what motivates me to continue and keep it on going, because I don't have time to read all the negative comments. Nope. I'd say just, keep that to yourself, but just be yourself.
Okay. So let's see. Erin, sure. First, be something that you're passionate about, that inspires you, that something that you want to be able to help people and advocate for and spread awareness about. Have a strong moral compass. Just like Justin had said, you've got to ignore those people. They're not worth your time. The internet just keeps rolling. So, yeah, just be yourself and do whatever it is that you love to do. Yeah, definitely. Amanda. Okay. All right. I happen to think of something. Okay. Like everyone was saying, just be yourself. Yes. And try to educate others, because I noticed that people that if they're closed-minded about the deaf, or like the deaf can't talk, or they can't do anything, or they can't drive, or they can't read, people like that. So you have to just try to open their minds and say, yes, we can do that. We can do this. We can do all these things, and try to educate and try to make everyone laugh. And I just try to be myself, because, at the time I was just trying to be myself, like at work or TikTok that I'm able to do at night. I can be myself, and I can be funny, and you just be yourself. Okay, Blakelyn.
I love this question. Okay. If you want to become an influencer, first thing, you need to be motivated. Secondly, you need to pick something to be motivated about. Then you have to be yourself. Don't change who you are at all. People love to see a genuine, real person, happy people, positive people. That's what social media is for. And when people go on social media, they do it for enjoyment, for recreation. So be yourself completely. And I agree with Justin's comments. You will have some haters and some hateful comments and some negativity, but they just don't want you to succeed. And that's just too bad. You just brush that off, ignore it, and stay on your track. Keep your goal in mind. And if you start skyrocketing and getting followers a lot and everything, you will notice in public, you'll get noticed. People will notice who you are in public. A few times I've just been walking along and somebody says, "Oh, are you from TikTok?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And the first time I remember that happened, I was in Florida on the beach at vacation, and my boyfriend, Luke, we were just walking along, and some person ran up to us, said, "You're from TikTok." And I was like, yeah." And they said, "Oh, can I take a picture with you?" And I was like, "Oh, sure. Okay." I felt like, well, this is kind of strange, but, I felt, it was weird. But, and then a little bit later, during the week, people were commenting on my videos saying, "I saw you in the store." But they didn't come up to me and say anything or say hey or anything. And it is very strange. So if you feel a little strange about that, maybe it's not for you. That's something to think about. So that's just what I would say about if you want to become an influencer.
Taylor.
Yeah. If you want to become an influencer, I'm not so great with it's not easy. It's not easy at all. It's not all fun and games. The most fun is for enjoyment. People do it for enjoyment, yes, but it's difficult. I mean, it's hard to know, like, oh, we look like we're all just happy people, but we all have challenges too. You don't know who your followers are. And then some of the people, ask different questions about who you are. And, as influencers, you have to kind of, toughen up and just, not get insulted by that, not let it bother you. You just have to move on. Don't let that crush your spirit. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes the comments on my posts are like really putting me down. And I'm like, whatever. The next day, somebody will say something so rude. And I'm just like, wow, and people comment and I say, fine, whatever, I comment back or something sometimes, sometimes you have to just be blunt with people and say, whatever, teach them, because you can't accept that kind of nonsense from people. Some people have other things going on, and you have to realize they have issues. But as an influencer, you have to, if you're motivated to become an influencer, just be aware that it's not easy. And, it's easy to give up. Sometimes I would just be like, oh, forget it. I can't do this. It's a huge responsibility. I go out to get a soda or whatever out of the house, and somebody's like, some girl's looking at me going, "Who are you? Who are you? Are you from TikTok?" And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yes, I know. It's just so weird. I'm like, there's somebody looking up to me or something. It's a different, like in the past, you can't really control people running up and meeting you, wanting to meet you, wanting pictures with you. You can't control that. So if it's hard for you to help, people want to be having pictures with you. They want to be involved. They want to connect, they notice you in public, there's like 300,000, that people are just saying, oh, they look at you as a famous person. And I never expected people to notice me like that. But, when I go out to the store, people come up to me, and it's a different kind of feeling. But the numbers don't change who you are as a person. Don't let them change, follow your true self. There's unknown people out there. Every one of us needs to be yourself. You've heard every single one of us. That's the most important thing, is don't change who you are for other people. Because, if you change who you are, then that's going to just be bad. Don't let social media impact your life in that way. So let those negative people just push to the wayside.
Wonderful comments. Thank you. Thank you all. So it's been great. You've all done a wonderful job. And so I'm going to turn it over now to our Clemson ASL Club, Amanda, Emery, who's here. We want to be able to see you and give a short announcement about our club. Just briefly tell them about our club.
Hi, my name is Amanda Emery, and this is my sign name, AG, Amanda Grace. And I'm the ASL Club president. And we're super excited for tonight. It was so good. You guys are wonderful. So we have one event a week. This week we have this Zoom meeting. Oh, it's always on Zoom. Every event is always on Zoom. And
this semester.
Right, this semester. Okay. And we want to really help support all of our students. We want them to be able to learn and become comfortable and become skilled and practice their ASL skills. So if you all have questions, or if you want to join the ASL Club, you can email me. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Danielle, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Hi, my name is Danielle. And I am Clemson ASL Club Vice President. The club, what we're doing right now is helping ASL students to improve in their language skills and to meet more deaf people and network and to enjoy themselves. And I have enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
All right, kudos. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so now we want to open the floor. If we can explain about how we're going to do this Q&A. I know people are going to have a lot of questions. I see it popping up on the chat, and everyone I want to explain how we're going to do this. You're going to see the box that's going to pop up on your Zoom, and that's where you type in the box your question, and we'll have an up view system where it's up and down. So if that question is important to you, click up, and the more people who click on that will show us that that's something that you want answered. So we're going to pick as many upvote questions. And then we have interpreters who will sign it. We're not going to go just around, but just, in a sense, anyone on the panel then can answer. We don't have to have everyone answer the same question, but we'll just pick and be flexible in this part of the program. And we'll try to get more questions answered. So sounds like a plan. All right, so let's open the chat.
Time has flown by. Wow. Yeah, I'm the queen. That's right.
Got to get a picture of that. Pull it up so I can see it. All right, you rock. Excellent. Amanda. What?
Don't you want my picture of mine? Yeah, where's my picture? You look, you like my solid black. Oh, Andre's got deaf tunes. Deaf tunes. What? Where's the pictures? Yeah. Who's got? You sell that shirt? You sell that shirt? The deaf Yeah, you want one? Yeah, cool. I got you. I got you.
Okay, it seems like it's not allowing me to do the Q&A part, so I guess we're going to have to use the chat box, and I know a lot of comments are showing up there, so I guess I'll pick randomly from the chat box questions that you might have, and just kind of look at them and randomly pick them.
Taylor, I think the biggest question I've seen so far is how to be an ally for the deaf community. A lot of people are messaging that, how to become an ally for the deaf community.
We're noticing similar questions. So anybody want to answer that? With hearing and deaf people, how can hearing people be the best ally they can for deaf people? Anybody want to field that question? Ally? How can hearing people be an ally on social media for deaf people?
The chat is funny there. Everybody's cracking up about the chat comments. I don't know. Someone said, please date me.
And best friends.
That's
Yeah.
my best friend. Oh, yeah, one of my friends here. Brave.
So who wants to start answering that? Taylor.
Be an ally for the deaf community is the only word is show action. You know, people say I'm an ally. They say I'm an ally all over the place, but you don't show it. You know, actions speak louder than words. You know, that's something special. If you want to be on TikTok or on social media, you know, put the spotlight on deaf community, on deaf creators, on people who make deaf videos. Like, for example, to be an ally would be to ask someone like randomly, say if you needed a DJ or something, hey, you know, Andre's a DJ, you know, we can hire him. So that kind of thing. Respect deaf people and their language. Don't try to take advantage of it for people to, you know, call attention to yourself, you know, to be called out. So, you know, this is our first language. And, you know, when we're out in public, you know, if you're going to be an ally for people that are autistic or disabled, sometimes people make comments about that, you know, and so, you know, like you would support those kind of things. You know, if they don't support deaf people, they feel more negative about deaf people. So, you know, learn sign language. That's a big thing, to be an ally, to actually learn our language, be immersed in the deaf community, come to deaf events, you know, show up and respect our language. And, you know, that's a lot to say about being an ally, but I say your actions show more than, you know, just labeling yourself and having a title of an ally, if that makes sense. Blakelyn saying, okay,
Go ahead.
I've noticed a lot of people comment on other people's comments saying, you know, you need to add your picture on there. Oh, add closed captioning. I'm sorry, add closed captioning. Excuse me, interpreter error. And I tell them on TikTok, I say, you know, if it's your TikTok, your video, I'm looking up and saying there's no captions on your videos, you know, but then you know, you're putting them down and saying, you know, that's a hypocrite. You know, if you don't add captions for a deaf person, why would a hearing person add? I mean, you know, why would the deaf person add captions if the hearing person doesn't add captions? It doesn't make sense that they're asking that. And that's hypocritical. And I feel that some people also think that deaf people can't do anything. oh, they pity us, or, feel sorry for us, or, they think, oh, if I can't do that, let me help you. And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm an independent person. I can do things myself. So have some boundaries.
Boundaries, yes. Any other comments from that?
Someone made a quick comment there, Ava Johns, or I missed the name, how to help accept hard of hearing to make them realize they're not alone. I'd like to comment on that. Honestly, to me, 20 years old, I accept myself, I'm comfortable with who I am. And I'm proud of being deaf. So my comment is accept yourself. Don't worry about everybody else and what they think, because, at the end of the day, you are who you are and you're not them.
Now, I have a question for all of you. Do you experience bullying through social media?
Yes.
How do you handle bullying? What do you do?
Oh my God, block it.
Andre, okay, and then we'll let Taylor answer.
Like, for example, on TikTok, when I go live and do my music, sometimes, I don't use the mic, or I feel like if I don't use the mic, people are like, you're deaf, but you're speaking on the mic. I am using the mic. So I'm like, oh my God, they don't get it. They say, oh, are you hard of hearing? How do you know music? You can feel the beat, whatever. It's so frustrating. It's very annoying. And some people just suck, and I just block them.
And the comment that I get all the time is if I'm talking, they're like, you're talking and not signing. And like I'm in video and my husband's there and I'm talking to him and they make comments on who's deaf in the video. Well, I am. It's kind of rude for you to say and point that out. Come on, be done with that. Taylor.
Bullying on social media, it's gotten to be extreme. Growing up, I never went out without technology. I always had my technology involved in my life. So bullying, on technology is easier than in person. Some people, make comments and stuff, but they would never say that to you face to face. So like if kids in the public school in the last few years would making comments and insults and stuff to me, and but they would never actually come and say that to my face. So I really, I just block them. I say, don't waste your time. It doesn't benefit me at all. So just block them, forget it. It depends, if it's extreme, block them. But most of the time, I can unblock them and I can respond if I want, just to say, hey, get people to pay attention. If they get attention, they're satisfied. So I'll just respond to them and be like, whatever. That's what I think is easier. The bullying, on social media, I say, come on, grow up. You're not 2 years old. Find something better to do with your time. Like pick on someone your own size. Like, we're not disabled. We don't see ourselves as disabled. We're successful people. We can do anything that you can do. So bully yourself. Like, you think you're going to put me down? No, That's just I'm tough, my personal self.
Erin. I agree with everyone. Recently on TikTok, I posted about a controversy. There was an interpreter. The presidential
debate,
and sometimes there are no interpreters for that. And I know DPAN. Live, they'll have some interpreters, but all of the news don't. And I posted a video about that, and it became viral and popular. Many people who wanted to interview me for different articles and news outlets, and many of them, they got mixed messages, and I got different comments. Some hearing people commented like, you're a burden to hearing people, that they that you're a fake deaf. I got the whole gamut, and really it bothered me. So sometimes I try to respond to educate people, but sometimes educating people is not worth it. So you have to ignore them. And sometimes with my friends, my hearing friends, they'll help and answer for me to the comment. And sometimes hearing people listen to other hearing people more than they listen to us deaf people. So really, you have to decide. I can either try to educate that person, and if I can't, it's not worth it. So you have to decide which it is. Now, Blakelyn.
People try to access our rights. They try to take advantage of our rights.
Blakelyn, do you have a comment?
Yeah, so I know people that are bullying with social media, but also we may experience bullying. We have experienced it growing up, but even before social media. Myself going into public school, I think I just didn't accept myself then because people were saying, oh, you're different. You have hearing aids, and I thought those were for old people, or something. But and in middle school, I'm a middle school girl. I don't want to be compared with an old person, So I think bullying on social media and in real life, we've experienced it growing up both ways, definitely.
Yes. And one interesting question I saw is, do all of you as influencers, you are influencers, but who influenced you? I think that's a good question. Who influenced you? Taylor.
I would say my parents. Definitely. I grew up, with ASL as my first language, and I was never signing out embarrassed. It was normal for us. People would see us signing, and it was just normal for me. I wasn't embarrassed. It didn't bother me. So I felt like it was just our normal right thing to do. But I think my parents mostly gave me exposure to the deaf community. They gave me exposure to my natural language. And I feel like, I had accessibility. They showed me that deaf people can do things. And, it really motivated me and influenced me to, say we have rights. And that's very important because, it's very, very important that we have rights to education, to my own, influence my own world and make it a better place for myself. So I would say that my parents really were the biggest influence of my life, and the negative people too really influenced me because they motivate me to keep it on going, and not give up. So because of them, I'm going to say, hey, I can show you, I can do anything. I don't care what people will say about me. I can do it, whatever I want. And so I just want to show them. That's my biggest influence growing up.
Anyone else have a comment? Who influenced you? Erin? My comment, well, in growing up, I was in the hearing world. I wasn't really aware of deaf people. And at the same time, there were not many deaf people in the media or in books or whatever. So that's improved now than before. But recently, since I became involved in the deaf community, there have been some few amazing deaf people who've been role models for me. And of course, Marlee Matlin I just love her. And let's see, Josh Castile, who is an actor. The two of them have really, they themselves have been great deaf identities and advocates. that's what's inspired me. So the two of them have influenced me. Blakelyn?
I don't really have anyone famous who influenced me exactly, but probably my boyfriend Luke. He's taught me everything I needed to know, and he doesn't know I'm talking about him right now because he's busy, but he's not noticing me. But anyway, he's taught me he's been patient with me, and really he's the best person that I've ever met. And also my good friend, a good friend of mine, twins that I know, both of them are deaf and both have double cochlears. And so their story is similar to mine. So they have really helped me a lot with being deaf and navigating the deaf world. And the three of them I just love.
Can I make a comment? Go ahead, Amanda. I don't know if this counts, but before I went into RIT for college, I was mainstreamed and so forth, and I didn't sign. I spoke, but I went into RIT and I was talking, and there were deaf people, and it's like couldn't necessarily hear any, whether people who are completely deaf or hard of hearing or signed or spoke. I had a roommate who did not move their mouth and just used ASL. So really, I learned from her and from my best friend growing up, who was hard of hearing, but she really signed very well. And they gave me the opportunity to sign more, because even now I don't have people to sign with. And so that's why I use TikTok and others to catch up with signing with me, and FaceTime, and having those things. So really, it's inspired me to just keep going. And the last question, and soon we'll have to wrap up, but people are asking Deaf U. They're asking about Deaf U. What is your opinion or thoughts about Deaf U? What do you think about that? I haven't watched it myself, so I don't know. What can you tell me? Now, Blake.
Has anybody watched it? Yeah, who's watched it? Blakelyn's, I've watched 2 days of it. 2 days of it.
Okay. And Justin, have you seen it?
Wasted your night.
What's your opinion?
Justin, what's your comment? Well, I've watched it, and to be honest, every deaf community is different. And I've never experienced Gallaudet University, but I've seen many deaf people that are not happy, not necessarily because of the drama. Well, it is, there's more drama. It's a little awkwardness, and I think it's a good start for a deaf movie. You know, it's a good start. But I've seen many deaf people that are not happy with it. So from my understanding, their opinion is, I mean, I do understand their opinion, but you can't please everyone. So I thought it was kind of funny, you know, I thought it was educational. I thought it was a good start, is the one way to put it. That's it.
Okay. Blakelyn, I think you're excited to have a comment.
I think Taylor wants to say something first.
All right, Taylor. Well,
go ahead, Blakelyn. Okay, yeah, I agree. It's a good start. I agree with what Justin said, a good start. But I feel like it's a perfect opportunity to educate. But I feel that all the people that saw it see the drama and, you know, all the partying and whatnot, you know. I feel that it, you know, it would be a good opportunity to educate people about us, about our challenges, but I didn't really see enough of that. You know, I just saw a lot of gossip and the bantering and the back and forth, and I had bigger expectations than that. But I agree with Justin, it's a good start.
Taylor?
Yeah, first, I never have watched it. Before I comment, I haven't watched it. I didn't watch it. Everyone is talking about it, and I was like, no, I had no interest in watching it. But the comments that I've seen are saying it's way too much drama, it's too much negativity, all the blah blah blah. What I would say about that for myself is, there's never enough positivity with anything. It's always negative. And in the hearing community, the deaf community, back and forth, I've seen that, that it's reality TV shows are the same whether it's hearing or deaf. So what do you expect? Everything's not going to be perfect and peachy keen. They had, I hope that it doesn't get a bad reputation for the deaf community. That's what, all of us on social media, we would say, we don't want it to be a bad impression to say, oh, that's what the deaf community looks like only. Again, I haven't watched it, but I think that, if it's too much drama and all that, it's like reality TV. It's like made up, it's like keeping up with the Kardashians, it's all made up, same kind of concept. It's just for TV, Again, Gallaudet is a party school, I've seen that because my parents went there, and I've seen that, it is a party school. So, some of those expectations, you might have high expectations, but if it's a reality TV show, you're going to expect that kind of drama, even though it's not real life.
Amanda, and then, me. Okay. I'd like to add what Taylor said, that it's not really an exposure of the deaf. I haven't been exposed with the deaf community, but Jersey Shores, like that show, that, okay, like that, I'm from New Jersey, so of course New Jersey is not like that, but you have to understand, people from New York, when they are compared to Jersey Shore, and then Deaf U is like that. It's do we party? Yeah. Do we club? Yeah. But that's not really it, just like Jersey Shores is not New Jersey, so that's not deaf. So I'd have to add, let me think, I forgot what I was going to say. Come on, I can't think of it. Oh, okay. So the difference of, you've got the deaf, people should try to learn how to get together and be in one community. That's true whether you're deaf and you don't, you're from a deaf family, or people like me who've got a cochlear, or people who are hard of hearing. All of us have to come together and be unified. So that's it. Andre?
Blakelyn, I'd like to make. Oh.
Blakelyn, fine. I know you're excited to say something.
Just really quick. Yeah, really quick. I'm shocked if they have season 2. I will be shocked because I can't believe that Gallaudet wants to be represented that way. That's my only comment I wanted to make. And Taylor saying, yeah, Gallaudet is in opposition to that, or they approved it. They acknowledged it. So that's for, it's Deaf U. It's not Deaf University, the signed Deaf University. It's different. But the hearing people don't know the difference. They think if that's what they're talking about, so that's what I think, is that Gallaudet doesn't want to be recognized that way because it's kind of a, a mark on Gallaudet. And I don't know, I'd say, hey, they're trying to do a great job exposure to the deaf community, but.
Andre?
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. And, I'm sitting there watching, like, what if a bunch of deaf kids are watching that thinking, oh, yeah, cool, wow, like, ooh, party on. Oh, boy. To be honest, that show, it's not too bad. I know there's a lot of negativity and positivity about it. I see both. Talking about having 2 Black deaf and hard of hearing women, and then they're complaining, where's the Black people? And I was like, wait, you have to wait, maybe season 2, you never know. So, it's kind of a waiting game on that. But I was hoping, that it would show the challenges of life, what it means to be deaf and hard of hearing, what is deaf culture, and show, like what Gallaudet University can offer, and what experience there. But, I mean, the partying, I'm not surprised. It's nothing new. It's there.
And now we need to wrap up and say thank you to every one of you individually as influencers who came tonight from all over the country, from the north, from the south, from the east and far west, and the middle ground, Idaho. So thank you all really for your time, for sharing your experiences, for your wisdom, for your thoughts. It's been wonderful. And your heartful feelings where you've really shared yourself. It's been important for people. If they want to be able to continue in the series, they need to continue. And it's all still new, all of this. We don't know what the next part is going to look like and what the future is going to look like. So I thank all of you for joining us tonight, and I hope that the audience also has greatly benefited and learned a lot. And it's given you pause, being an ally for the deaf. How can you more support and be deaf influencers and support whatever out there in social media, as you've heard and been a part tonight? What can you do to more support all of these people in their work? So thank you for joining us tonight from Clemson University. Good night. Good night.